Welcome, everybody. Welcome once again. In our last episode, we watched the movie, The Maidens Festival. How a group of guys came together. They worked with just very ordinary material, and they came up with a formidable product. Now, this is a story behind the Maidens Festival. It is all connected to spending behavior. The executive producer of a certain movie had invested so much to do a movie production. And then so many things happened, and the product failed. Millions of francs went down the drain like bad air. You see what spending behavior does? At corporate level, many startups are just failing. Many businesses are dwindling by the day. You can't succeed. Maybe we would think it's some form of, well, people have different reasons for different things. I will may like, okay, we are not succeeding because a number of factors are not in place. But I will always insist it is in our spending behavior. Because the executive producer of that first movie that failed had a kind of spending behavior type. Those ones are Machiavellians. Someone with a Machiavellian spending behavior goes for nothing other than power. They want to stay on top. They want to control all the resources. They want to be seen. Look, the executive producer of a movie wants to be everything. And at the end of the day, the product was lost. The prospects were all gone. So a small group, a small faction learned. And then they came together and set up the Maidens Festival. Like I said, we don't diagnose to reject. We diagnose to reconstruct. So that group simply reconstructed. And then they found out that they could actually do something quite big. And the Maidens Festival was produced. You watch the movie. But that's not the subject of our discussion today. We are trying to look at who is a Machiavellian spender. We want to hone this idea of behavior restructuring, of spending restructuring. Because when spending behavior is not restructured, if we don't really, emphasize on the intensity of the consequences, we can never really understand what is at stake. A Machiavellian spender, if he is the head of a community, let's say he's even the head of an extended family, a Machiavellian spender does everything to make sure all the resources of that family, he controls them. He makes sure he stays on top. He is going to call the shots. He is going to run the show. Every other thing does not count. If a Machiavellian spender is the head of a community, if the head of an extended family, no son, no daughter of that family makes it. Yeah, because he doesn't entertain competition. You always have to serve. He must control the resources. We have stories. We have stories. There are young boys and girls that never make it in life simply because a certain uncle somewhere decided to sign a single paper. You have not been able to access the storehouse of wealth, the storehouse of opportunities. You couldn't make it in life simply because an aunt, an uncle, a sibling, the head of your community somehow decided not to come through for you. Because Machiavellian spending tendencies destroy communities. So to restructure spending behavior is not a joke. Yeah, there are some communities that have been held down by a Machiavellian spender. He has put the money, put the resources, put everything. He is on top. And he has decided that no one succeeds in that community except a single name, his own name. That's why when we talk about restructuring, you should always try as best you can to identify these people. And then you should always remind yourself that the world is changing. There is a group, the broadband group, that has now introduced a new kind of technology. Because this is psychotechnology, this is cutting edge. All of us have to go back to the drawing board. We need to rework our default setting. Oh yes, because people should be identified. Yeah, we have the names, like we usually say, we have the names, we have everything, but we should endeavor that everybody restructures. Just imagine a movie product failed, millions went, simply because a single individual wanted to control all the resources. Then a small faction restructured and produce a beautiful product. I tell you honestly, there are many businesses today that are run by Machiavellian spenders. They push always to be the CEOs. They must make sure they are on top, they stay on top, and make sure no one gets to that place of power and resource control. Now, you see, how do we grow our economy if Machiavellian spenders are always going to be there? So our responsibility is not to call them, whatever names we do. We have a responsibility towards calling them out, yes, but letting them know that all of that can be restructured. We all are Machiavellian to an extent. Yeah, in our own little corners. That tendency is there. You are the big guy of the environment. And sometimes you feel so threatened because the quality of the Machiavellianism, the quality of a Machiavellian spender is that he has that behavior deficiency in which there is that emptiness inside. There is that spirit of inferiority. He doesn't feel secure. So that insecurity makes him to push everybody down. So like I said, if we have to succeed as a community, as an extended family, as a nation, every Machiavellian spender should be spotted. This time, we are not diagnosing to reject, we are diagnosing to restructure. So the broadband project is not a kind of project like we are talking simply about capital. We are talking about healing. We are trying to make sure we restructure the social fabric. We are trying to make sure we reconcile families. We are trying to make sure square pegs are kept in square holes. Yeah. And I tell you honestly, this is not a kind of podcast we tell you, oh, subscribe, don't subscribe. This is the balm of Gilead. This is a healing balm. It is important and it's an imperative that we all identify friends, colleagues. We all identify anyone that we believe that has issues with money. And then we tell them, there is a broadband project. There are tools out there, the SBI and the SBROP. Please restructure. We have a whole plan. We have a whole plan. We are going to put out a plan. We are restructuring in batches of 1 million. Like this first phase, we are going to restructure 1 million people because we are setting the first bread bank in Africa. And that bread bank is going to be in Cameroon. Now we are restructuring 1 million people. Each is going to go on a package. Our package goes for $100 with 1 million people, each paying $100 to save their lives, to save their families, to restructure, to make sure you can even pass word to the next generation. You're going to pay just $100. We understand that 1 million subscribers that are actually going to pick up our product, each for $100, is going to generate $100 million for us to start up our bank in Cameroon. Now, the advantages of restructuring, we are going to see this as, the episodes, roll by. We are going to see that the world has to change. We are going to see that resources have to be redistributed. We are now going to see that there's a lot of wealth and power leaving Africa, leaving nations that do not have the capacity to restructure. And then everything just vanishes thin air because we cannot restructure. So spending behavior restructuring is an economic concern, it's a social concern, it's a political concern for all of us. When we look at our business plan, we are unique. Because most banks, they just generate capital by possibly calling together the shareholders. We are going through a process that's going to be different. What I'm doing now is called awareness creation. I'm creating awareness so we know we have the capacity and the power to turn our lives around and make sure we do not end up as mendicants simply because we cannot manage resources. After awareness is created, the question is, so what next? We are going to administer the SBI. And then after that, we restructure. Now, when all of that is done, that is when we qualify as an account holder with Bread Bank. So already we are building the banking process. Because what I'm doing now, on behalf of my team, is awareness creation. Now, other banks do not bother about who you are, where you are coming from, provided you meet the criteria, set possible to qualify as an account holder. We are not interested just in the money. We are interested in you as an individual. Because what we try to prevent is insolvency. We want to create a database of prospective clients that really have been empowered. So what we are doing now is empowerment. We are preparing our prospective clients. So we make sure that tomorrow, when they are banking bread, they are qualified bankers. So it's important and imperative for us at corporate level to understand that there is no way one is going to succeed without the other one. We are going to see this in the next episode. We have to succeed as one. That's why I started with Machiavellian spenders. Because Machiavellian spenders are the biggest disruptors of economic order. Because they are being on top and they are not being caught out, stalls progress at all levels. So in this banking program, just as we progressively walk the talk, it is important for us to call out everyone that stalls progress to look out for themselves and to also make sure they subscribe to this structuring so that we can work collectively. Sure, we're building a bank, but we're reconciling families. Sure, we're building a bank, but we're building unbroken friendships. Sure, we're building a bank, but we're reuniting individuals experiencing broken relationships. Sure, we're building a bank, we're empowering communities. Because by empowering people and by restructuring together, we can be sure of a better nation. It's true. We are building a bank, bread bank for the rehabilitation, education, and aid to the disabled. Of course, that's because the destitute and possibly the fallen guys on the streets have to be fed. But we all are disabled to a certain extent. Because a man that works so hard to make so much and finally throws away everything is disabled. He's psychologically disabled. That is why bread bank is for the disabled. You are physically disabled. You are mentally disabled. Someone who is unable to control his own finances is a mental wreck. You are mentally disabled. So it's important for you here and now, today, and always, to administer your SBI, you administer your SBRP, you restructure. Restructure as a family, restructure as a group, restructure as a community, so that collectively we will be able to walk the talk together. In our next episode, we are going to see a kind of spender called the Algerian spender. That is a spender who we need to understand if we have to work together. Look, this issue of behavioral restructuring is new, like I said, psychotechnology, cutting edge. Yeah, because it's a product from Africa that's going to change the entire world. Every nation needs to restructure, and every nation needs a bread bank. For now, we are starting with Cameroon, Africa. Subsequently, all African countries are going to use our blueprint to set up their bread banks. And then from there, we are going to give it out to the entire world. Like I said, every nation needs bread. So please, meet us in the next episode. Let's look at an Algerian spender and how it affects your life and mine. And how, by putting them at bay, we can fare better. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode.